Hi everyone, it's me again. It's Wednesday and let's get into the herbal medicine and let's get into the medicinal mushrooms. What are we going to talk about today? First, we are going to go over an overview of healing with plants and the power of nature. Then we are going to go through the history of the mushroom very quickly, just for your general information. Then we'll talk about the benefits of the mushrooms, because in order to use a plant or whatever healing tool, you need to know what are the benefits, or at least I like to educate my clients about that. And then why the mushrooms are immunomodulators. What is immunomodulator and why this is so important. Before I start, I would like to tell you that I listened very recently. Watched an interview with someone who said plants are in control of the planet, and he was spot on. When you think about it, all the cultivated animals we're using in our diet eat plants, and whatever the plants produce and deliver to those animals, that comes into us just as well. Think about it. Sheep, goats, buffalo, also chicken, deer, they have multi-camera stomach that it's 3 or 4 that digests and assimilates what the plants offer to them. And us, the humans, with our tiny little stomach, we take it and we make something else of it. So it is very important for our digestive system to function, actually. As you know, I'm very big on digestive system, nervous system, respiratory system. Today we'll talk about the respiratory system a little bit more. And here I would like also to mention that our stomach juices are very strong, but we have animals like the crocodiles or the vultures. Vultures has 0 alkalinity. It's all acid. Very strong digestive system. Crocodile can swallow a skull of an animal and it will absorb, assimilate, digest in its stomach. It's that strong. So you see, what do we need to absorb what actually the plants are giving us through the chain of the nature. And then in the medicine we have the pills that are made actually of plants. The problem there is the carrier. Usually the carrier is something, a chemical of non-organic or organic chemistry, and that carrier creates those side effects when it accumulates with on the places of the weakest part of our body. So I have to tell you that yes, the plants are in control of our body. This is for sure. So what is the healing power of nature? Most importantly, the healing power of nature is a self-organizing and healing process. This is important to understand, that this healing power is in our blood, in the bioplasma, which the body takes and distributes, or which is in charge of what you're giving into the body to be taken from the blood. You know, the blood distributes the nutrients throughout the body and brought to the cells, so the cells can procreate, be healthy and nourish themselves. So this is a healing process which is present in the living systems, that establishes, maintains and restores health. This is the process. It's not the pill that heals us. It's that system, that's organization, or below in this thread, I have a video on the life force, a very short one, where I exactly explain how the life force works. So plants always played a very major role in the treatment of humans and of diseases, of conditions, mental diseases. The demand of medical plants nowadays is so much increased because now we know that our ancestors for centuries used medicinal plants, including the mushrooms, mosses, which I will mention later on about. Now the science tries to figure out what is the mechanism of work of those plants, how much to deliver, to quantify the amounts we have to take. And this is very interesting for me because people are learning about the power of plants, and herbal medicine becomes a very, very important part of the traditional and modern system of healing. So our role as, for me, as a herbalist, a naturopathic doctor, also work with herbs and medicinal mushrooms. Our role is to facilitate this process. How do we facilitate this process? By identifying and removing obstacles of health and recovering. And how we do that? By supporting the internal life and the external environment. So you need those two components in order to create an environment for healing. This is very important. And what are the underlying causes of illness and diseases? Here I would like to mention that lately, the last 20 years, there is something which is called functional medicine. The functional medicine, and Dr. Mark Hyman is a very big, he's, I think, the creator of the first clinic of functional medicine where he teaches doctors as well. It tries to find out the causes of the disease and conditions, because without knowing the causes, we are in the dark. We offer things which we don't know if they will work or won't work. In lab, they are proven to work, but are they going to work when we give it in a human body, which is a living body? We don't exactly know very often, and the practice shows us that when it comes to chronic disease or chronic condition, we don't really have big success with medicine and pills. So symptoms may be caused by the disease, but can also serve as an expression of what the organism does in order to protect itself or to solve the problem with the disease. And one of those are fevers. So when we have high fever, this is a symptom that something's wrong in the body, but this is a very good expression of what is happening, because the body is trying to kill harming viruses or bacteria or etc. So this way, through this healing process, the body recovers and heals itself. And we say, treat the whole person. That's why we do evaluations. We look at the mental side, the spiritual side. We look at the physical body, the lifestyle, the stress factors, how the physical body works, each system. So we can have entire picture of what it is happening in the body, and yes, to heal it this way. Health and disease result from a complex of those physical, mental, emotional, environmental. All the stress comes from the environment, be it physical or mental stress, social stress, and of course some other factors. Naturopathic medicine, and in particular herbalism, recognizes that harmonious functioning in the environment is actually is essential for the health. Those who work with me know that the environment, our hydration, nutrition, movement, breathing patterns, happiness, all this is included in the environment we talk about. Another thing I would like to mention that the multifactorial approach to a disease requires personalized and comprehensive assessment, and that's why I talk very often, and in many of the PDFs I produced, I talk about the assessment of our body. And I would like you, as people I work with, to learn how to self-assess yourself, because then you know what to do, who to reach out to for help, and this is important for our healing process. From the PDF, if you downloaded the PDFs, I mentioned the 5 kingdoms of plants and life in general of the planet. So you have the first one is the Monera. The Monera are unicellular or single cellular bacteria, and they include the blue algae as such. So then you have the Protista. Protista are multicellular organisms and includes the algae atoll. So because the blue-green algae is a type of bacteria, that's why it goes in the Monera, and the algae atoll, they go into Protista. Then it comes the fungi, which we will be talking about today, and these are yeast mold fungi or mushrooms as well. And then we have the plantae. The plantae include plants without roots, plants with roots. Also we have vascular plants like the ferns. They're vascular plants. Then we have the Animalia, and in the Animalia you have every organism from the sponge, these are those loofahs, the sponge, through the jellyfish, all the way through the fish, reptiles and animals. So it's important and it's interesting to know about all these groups and organisms. And let me tell you a few words about the moss before we continue with the fungi. I am familiar with the Irish moss and Iceland moss. They have similar functions. The Irish moss is mostly used in pneumonia, tuberculosis. It is also used in other pulmonary problems, lung diseases, etc. And it's typically considered a medical plant, but only certain types of moss are considered medical plants, and these are the 2 of them. What can we say about the Iceland moss? The Iceland moss is tonic. It tones the body, it tones the blood. It is demulcent. Demulcent are those herbs that relieve inflammation. Then it has mucilaginous property as well, which means it has viscous structure. If you know the plant okra has the viscous structure as well. It's nutritive. Nutritives are plants or herbs like cayenne pepper that nourish the blood. They're very, very potent and very, very important. The Iceland moss also is used in all respiratory troubles like bronchitis, coughs. Also, it's soothing and strengthening for the whole mucosa of the tract, the respiratory tract. And here I would like to offer you a decoction of this Iceland moss. If you have access to it, they have it in stores. The decoction is very good for the respiratory troubles. So decoction means we start from cold water. We put the herb, about 28 grams of the herb or 30 grams in cold water, and we start boiling it. When it boils about for half an hour, it has to simmer on very low heat. You then strain it, and when it cools, or I prefer my teas warm, you can drink it. So here is one way to use the moss. Moss and mushrooms are in the same group. They're very close, and that's why I wanted to mention a few things about the moss before I start talking about the history of the mushrooms right now. So the use of the medicinal mushrooms dates from thousands of years, and we all know that China, in Asia, they use them a lot for various health problems and benefits. And why is that? Why they're so popular there? Also, the recent years, the Chinese government invests enormous amount of money for research because they know from their folklore medicine that those mushrooms help people. You know that the science always would like to know what is the pathway of the help, how this herb can be quantified to be most efficient, and where does it go in the body, what are the pathways of work, and how it finds the pathways to go to the important place in the body where we want it to work. So that's why we know a lot about herbs from China like astragalus. We know a lot about their mushrooms because they are scientifically examined. We know less about what is in Europe, but it doesn't mean that those mushrooms or herbs are less efficient, not at all. So mostly in the traditional medicine, the mushrooms or herbs are known for their properties due to observation and from the practice, the practical evidences as results. I want to mention a few Chinese mushrooms which are used for, which has nutritional value, but they have also healing value. And you know, all of you, reishi, you know, shiitake mushroom, maitake as well, and cordyceps. These are traditional Chinese medicine mushrooms, which are most commonly used in Chinese medicine. And let's see in other parts of the world where else mushrooms has been used. Mushrooms has been used in Europe, in Greece, yes, exactly, to treat variety of ailments. And the Aztecs also in South America used mushrooms a lot, and they used them for their antibiotic properties. They produce different type of tinctures which can be taken medicinally as antibiotics. In modern time, we have scientific research that confirms for about many benefits of the mushrooms and which are the benefits of the mushrooms mainly. So mushrooms contain various bioactive compounds, and those compounds such as polysaccharides, beta-glucans, and triterpenoids. These are the three main compounds that are so important when we talk about the mushrooms, and they're anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor, and immunomodulating properties. Immunomodulation means that those mushrooms work with our immune system. So we will continue with the benefit of the mushrooms, and I will talk first about the polysaccharides. These are the carbohydrates molecules I mentioned. They contain many small molecules and are joined chemically. The main function of the polysaccharides are that they have a structural support, energy storage, and cellular communication. I can't tell you how important it is to take herbs or nutritional additives that work on the structural support of the cell, on the energy storage of the cell, as well as the cellular communication between the cells, because this is our health. The cells work together. Every cell in our body knows what other trillions of cells are doing. This is something amazing. So there are some very impressive results by mushrooms which are scientifically explored. And first of all is, as I said, the general improvement of the immune system. Then is the activation of the T cells. The T cells, everybody knows, they're part of the immune system. They develop stem cells in the bone marrow. So the mushrooms are very beneficial for them. They also help protect the body from infection also, and they fight cancer. I remember when I worked with people with cancer, the T cells, the test for the T cells was an ongoing thing. Every week or every 3 weeks, certain patients, they had to be checked how their T cells are working in the body. So they have anti-tumor activity. Let me tell you a few things about the tumors. When cells in the body do not want to live or die, the body tries to seclude them and chamber them. So it wraps them up and puts them on the side. Very often they're tucked into the fat. And it desires to work with them when the time comes. But if we beat up the body and overload the body all the time, that time never comes. During that time, the tumor is growing. The wrapped cells inside of the wrapping package, they divide and divide and divide. And I want to tell you that after a certain moment, the tumor doubles very quickly. It takes less than 3 weeks to double the size, and then that double size doubles, and that double size doubles. And that's why in certain periods of its development, it develops very, very fast. So the mushrooms also can increase certain proteins. Proteins are very important for the body. They're building blocks for the cells. And what is very important are the shock proteins, which I believe I've mentioned in the video before, if I'm not mistaken. The shock proteins come when we have cold shower, when we fast, when we go to sauna. They come and they literally clean and cleanse the body. So the mushrooms will literally support them. They also they also help with the ingestion of large particles which are not supposed to be in the blood flow. Very beneficial edible mushrooms with healing properties include the shiitake, maitake, a mushroom which I will talk in a bit, Agaricus blazei. This is a mushroom which is in Japan and in Brazil, and I heard very often lately that people use it. They import it here in North America. I don't have experience with this mushroom, but I'll tell you a few things because it's very interesting. But mushrooms, also wood ear, tremella is another mushroom, poria, and enoki. These mushrooms have not only healing properties, but they are edible. Non-edible mushrooms, which are very important, especially in the fight with cancer, is the reishi mushroom. You probably heard many times about it. Coriolus mushroom is another one. In Japan, a few mushrooms are approved for treatment in cancer. As I told you, the science really goes very hard on researches with the mushrooms. It really invests a lot of resources. Based upon some human studies, many mushrooms appear to be anti-tumor, antimicrobial, immunomodulators, as we said, lipid lowering. This is in relation with the cholesterol. And glucose regulating. Imagine if your glucose goes constantly up and down and it's not regulated, what happens is our body gets that message, we're dying now. So the processes in the body really slow down, and the body only does the minimum for survival, which is in the long run very damaging for the body because it takes a lot of resources from our muscles. It breaks down very valuable tissue. That's why we exercise, because we need, in times when we are sick, to have a muscle mass, because lately they say that the musculature is part of the immune system. Very important. So let me explain why the mushrooms are immunomodulators. They are considered as such because they contain three things, or two important things: polysaccharides and beta-glucans. You don't have to remember those things. The most important thing is that these compounds stimulate the immune system that respond effectively to pathogens. Pathogens are all the little creatures that want to go in the body, in the places where they don't belong, like viruses, bacteria, and etc. And cancer cells, let's not forget about that. They can also balance the immune system while reducing the inflammation. Very important. They can prevent the overacting of the immune system. You know, when the immune system is overacting, we have autoimmune diseases. When the immune system starts killing everything that it cannot recognize. And for example, we have the beta-glucans that are found in certain mushrooms like the shiitake mushroom and reishi that have shown to activate immune cells called macrophages or natural killer cells that kill the bad cells and that play a very important role in the defense of our organism. A little bit more about the polysaccharides. They are found in mushrooms such as maitake and turkey tail. I will talk about turkey tail in a bit. And they have shown to improve the immunomodulatory effects by increasing the productions of cytokines. Cytokines are types of proteins that have a very important influence on the immune system. Overall, the immunomodulatory effects on medicinal mushrooms have been extensively studied and are believed to contribute to their many benefits and health. But of course, like I said in the beginning, a lot of research is done and more research is needed. So let's say a few words about the turkey tail, a very famous mushroom used for cancer. Immunomodulator like every other, or that which means immunosupportive mushroom, and it's very good for general health. So it's very good to be taken preventative as well. Usually take it as per suggestions on the package. Apart from the cancer anti-cancer effect of this mushroom, it is also found to be antiviral. So that's why it's good to be taken as a prevention, because also it has efficiency in supporting of the immune system and works on the defense from pathogens. It's used a lot for the liver troubles. That's why it is called hepatoprotective. They're hepatic liver related types of cancer, and that's why turkey tail very often is given for colon cancer, liver cancer, and everything that relates to the digestive system and cancer of the digestive system. And in your PDF, I included the Agaricus blazei muril mushroom, which comes from Brazil and Japan. So this is widely cultivated in Japan because it has medicinal uses, and now it is considered one of the most important edible mushrooms there is. Meanwhile, I want to mention that the picture in the PDF, because I couldn't find a good picture of this mushroom, I put a similar mushroom, but I wrote below that this is penny bun mushroom. It's not what I'm talking about exactly. It was traditionally used to treat many common diseases like arteriosclerosis. This is related to the cardiovascular system, hepatitis, also high cholesterol, diabetes, skin problems, and cancer. So this mushroom can be taken as a treatment. I read a research about mushrooms that orally most of them have less effect than injected. So if you ever get mushrooms like injections, I, for instance, remember when I worked with the colon cancer patients, they would get a liver injection. some substances have to go straight into the blood when the disease is quite advanced to be able to be efficient. So all this to say, you still take it orally. It's just the effect is slower, less, and it needs time to accumulate in order to be efficient. Another mushroom I would like to mention, which is in your PDF as well, Enokitake is the name, and Enokitake, they are bioactive polysaccharides. They have those proteins, special FVE proteins, which I mentioned before, and they regulate the immune system. So as you can see, plants protect us, and plants feed us, and plants can heal us, and plants can kill us as well. You know very well that many mushrooms are poisonous. Also, the species that type of plant brings in our body can be also very dangerous for our body. That's why when you buy new mushrooms, you have to have good sources for it. If you don't have, please contact with me and I will help you with that, no problem. So this Enokitake mushroom, also a part of the immune system support, is antibacterial, is anti-allergy, and anti-cancer, of course, like most or almost all of them, antiviral, so antiviruses, and anti-inflammatory properties as well, which protects the entire immune system. So to wrap it up, what did we do today? We said overall things about healing with plants and mushrooms. We talk about the polysaccharides because you will hear those things when you do your research about mushrooms, how important it is. These are carbohydrates that are in them. We talked about 3 types, Agaricus blazei, turkey tail, and Enokitake mushroom. We talked about 2 types of moss, which is the Iceland moss and Irish moss. And the mosses, we said, are mostly for the respiratory related problem, and in some cases for liver and kidney even. I didn't mention that, but yes, the Iceland moss is used for those reasons as well. As you know, when you have questions, you can call me at any time, and I am available to help you. That's why I found this group for people who want to improve, alleviate symptoms, improve their condition, and heal. Many of the conditions can be healed, like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. These all can be healed. I would suggest you do not procrastinate. Just answer yourself the question when you want this to be done. And if you need help, we can make a plan and see which month what should be done and how we will get rid of the condition. I agree that some conditions are harder, heavier, and it needs way more attention and way longer period of time in order to be healed, because also they pile up. When the fibromyalgia comes, the chronic fatigue appears, it's inevitable, like very soon. Then it comes Hashimoto, then it comes other diseases that pile up on top of it, rheumatoid arthritis, and other types of arthritis just as well. Digestive problems like IBS also can occur. So you see they pile up. It's like a domino effect. So I would suggest don't wait. Do what you have to do, heal it, because the more you wait, the harder it becomes. The body adapts to the condition and it's very hard to reverse. I absolutely believe that everything can be treated, and if you go to Joe Dispenza and see how he even treats diseases that are inherited diseases, which is very, very fascinating. But for most of us, sometimes we run out of time and the diseases become irreversible. Just the body takes on a path of destroying, and that's it. We can't do much about it. I saw this many times when I work with clients with cancer. We have the tools, but we don't have the time because the changes has been irreversible. So no need to wait. It's not difficult when you have a team, somebody to support you, when you know what to do, when you have a plan, when you're well assessed and you understand the problem, you understand the plan, and then it's only positive results. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you, Stella. Stella Miladinova, I see you watching. Thank you very much. And I'll see you on the other side when you call me for evaluation. Thank you.
Leave a question or comment and we'll be glad to answer. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.